horizon. We have roamed in search of something new, and every traveller has imagined their ideal travel style. Imagine your travel style. What will it be like for you?
Welcome to Kazakhstan.
Welcome to Kazakhstan.
Working?
Yes. This one's good.
Yes. So okay?
I think I'm
Я кабеля его сделал в 600 вилан. А вот этот не нужно?
Этот у него, он будет или этот включаться. Это наша внутренняя сетка.
А
это тоже работает?
Нет, я ему вот этот сделал, который ваш, и вот там вот у него был. Я два перевел.
Окей. Там он и так работал, по-моему.
А этот я попробую.
На медиа перевел, да?
Да, эти два на медиа.
Окей.
А этот там, где был.
А это пускай будет. Хорошо. И это тогда починишь после.
Вам надо забрать, да?
Да, сейчас ему хватит, а потом, когда закончится, ну, если хочешь, да. А там тебе, когда ты обжимаешь,
Thank you guys.
okay, so now you get it?
Yeah,
And it should be now this
connected.
Not yet, because it may happen again.
Well, I appreciate it though. Thank you so much.
Don't appreciate it yet. You can appreciate if everything's fine at the end of something.
All right, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
charm of sports, also the perfect cooperation between athletes and sports equipment. Taisha has been served numerous of games and never a malfunction and complaint. Taisha highly value innovation and technology. This is why we are trusted. This is Taisha Kids.
Владимир, здравствуйте. Расскажите, откуда?
Наших россиян, за казахов и вообще за посмотреть прекрасную борьбу.
Вы занимаетесь спортом?
Я занимаюсь не вольной борьбой, не греко-римской, я занимаюсь бразильским джиу-джитсу. Я думаю, что здесь в Астане это тоже очень популярный вид спорта, но все равно это борьба, соответственно, очень интересно посмотреть мировой уровень соревнований.
Скажите, пожалуйста, вы первый раз в столице Казахстана?
Да, я первый раз в столице Казахстана, и я сожалею об этом, что действительно прекрасный город, есть что посмотреть, есть куда сходить, прекрасные люди, улыбчивые, отзывчивые, поэтому очень прекрасный город.
Можете сказать, за кого конкретно вы болеете?
Я конкретно болею, конечно, за честный, красивый спорт, поэтому ни за кого конкретно не болею.
Прям вот фамилию?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm David Mirikitani. Welcome back to the Track Wrestling Studio Scramble Cam, presented by Defense Soap. I want to introduce my good friend, the legend himself, Dennis Hall.
How you doing?
Man, it was
Get a
awesome.
little bit of rest.
Yeah, the morning session was awesome, wasn't it, Dennis?
Yeah, it was. A lot of good wrestling. Everything kind of shaped up, and we got a good group of semifinals coming up.
Yeah, we're going to do a deep dive, but overall what you had stressed for maybe some people that missed the morning session, where did you feel like the big difference was going to be? What situations?
You know, a lot of the matches come down to parterre. So the guys that were sharp in parterre usually won the matches. The guys that weren't ended up falling. And that's the difference a lot of times in Greco-Roman wrestling, just because it's so hard to score on the feet.
Yeah, and we'll get into that as we go. So before we dig into the brackets, we've got an awesome highlight video that we want to show everybody from this morning session. get you excited, get you jazzed up. I don't know what would.
There were some good scoring opportunities by the guys this morning. Now we just got to hope for a little help with them coming back.
A couple of overall broad strokes. 3 of the 4 Americans won a match. All 4 of the Americans that wrestled this was their first time at the World Championship at the senior level. So those are definitely signs to be encouraged.
Yeah, they are. My first World Championships back in '90, I went on too. So
you turned out okay too.
Yeah, a little bit.
You had a somewhat successful career, so that's good. Yeah.
So they look good though. The fight in the guys was pretty good. Even the matches we lost, we were fighting till the end and trying to pull something out.
Bunker was a guy that really impressed me that way when we get into that. So let's start at the first weight, 55 kilograms. The U.S. representative was Max Nowry. He got a bye in the round of 32. Won by tech fall against the German 10-1. That was really encouraging. And then lost to the wrestler from Kazakhstan 3-2, who had upset the number 4 seed and the number 6 guy in the world. And then that guy now needs to beat the number 1 guy in the world for Max to get pulled back into the repechage or backside. So, we've talked. What do you think about Max's performance so far?
Max looked good. I thought he wrestled well both his matches. He was able to score on his feet, which is huge. And where I always say we struggle in the U.S. is parterre, and that's what beat us. So we got to fix that problem eventually, but it was impressive the way he was able to score on his feet, because it's not easy.
Yeah, so the top half of the bracket is the number 1 guy in the world versus the Kazakhstan athlete who beat Max. And then the bottom half of the bracket, the number 3 seed, who's ranked number 5 in the world, the Georgian, is in the semi. And Ogawa from Japan has had a great tournament, beat the number 9 ranked guy in the world and the number 2 ranked guy in the world. So that should be a barn burner of a match as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a great match. The one thing that I like is the guy that Max that has to win for Max to be in is from Kazakhstan.
So maybe a little
might
home
get a
cooking
little
to
help.
get close. Exactly.
Just being honest.
Exactly. So next weight, 63 kilos. The U.S. representative was Ryan Mango, and he won in the first round, the round of 32, 11-0 versus the athlete from Portugal. Then he dropped a match to the Turk, 7-4. Kind of an interesting match. It was neutral. He scored a big 4-point bomb, and then had some points scored against him in that scramble, but the net result was he got outscored 0-7 the rest of the way. Looked a little frustrated in the second period.
And he wasn't controlling position. It just looked like there might have been a fatigue factor. He didn't look like he had it going in the second period, and that's where the downfall came.
It looked like maybe the nerves kind of drained him, because his cardio and his training are good.
For sure.
And then unfortunately that Turk, speaking of a little home cooking, lost to the Kazakhstan athlete in the quarterfinals. So that puts Mango out. So to sum up where we are in the bracket, though, the Russian, who is the number 1 seed, is in the semis. He will wrestle the number 7 ranked guy in the world, the Uzbekistani athlete. The number 4 athlete in the world got upset in his first round match from Azerbaijan. And then the Japanese athlete, Oda, is going to wrestle another Kazakhstan athlete who beat the number 2 athlete in the world, China. And, this might be a good time. What kind of tournament is Kazakhstan having right now?
When you're in your home country and you get to, experience your own culture, it just puts you more at ease. One of the best tournaments I had was Atlanta. I took a silver in Atlanta, but it was just so different being in my own country, having the fans behind you. Gives you that little bit of extra motivation that sometimes you need to dig deep for.
Less variables, right?
Yeah.
That's another part of it,
exactly.
Right? Just, less things that can go wrong.
Yep. You're eating your own food.
Yeah, right? So 72 kilos is the next weight, and this is where Raymond Bunker is. He got a bye first round. and got on the international scoreboard with a win, which is significant for a guy like
For
that.
his first world championships, I'll take that any day. Plus, the match that he lost, he wrestled hard and fought hard.
He wrestled
against a stud. That guy's ranked #1 in the world.
If Dennis Hall says you're a stud, you're a stud. And Bunker was actually winning 2-0 at the break. For those of you that stayed up and listened to it, Dennis had the call perfectly. He said, look, unless Raymond can score on his feet, they're going to put him down. This guy's really good on top. And you could tell that guy knew that, wrestled extremely patiently, kept his cool,
Yep.
got on
He
top.
didn't get frustrated in the first period and was waiting for his chance on top.
Right, so he's in the semi now. He will wrestle the Uzbekistan athlete, Vardanyan, and Vardanyan beat the #4 guy, Zhang from China. So if the Bulgarian athlete can win, Raymond's still alive. Hopefully he'll medal, but at the very least he gets at least 6 more minutes on the mat.
Yep.
And then the bottom half, the Russian, the #3 seed, made it to the semis, and he will wrestle Karpazi from Hungary, who's the #2. So that's one of the few spots where the seeds actually held, where 3 of the top 4 guys made it through. Then we jumped to 82 kilos. John Stefanowicz had a tough first round match against Gabadze. And you never really know when a guy's not ranked, like, hey, maybe he could be done just like that.
He was, Georgian's been around for a while, so you never count out the veterans. You know what? It's the World Championships. These guys know how to compete. They know how to get ready. So
and you're right, because both those guys had a bye. We United States needed him to win, and all he did was beat the #10 guy in the world 9-0, and the #10 guy in the world had just pinned the #1 guy in the world the round before. So I'll tell you this, if you were betting on these brackets, you could have made a lot of money if you bet on a couple long shots.
Yeah, on a long shot.
So that puts us where Gabadze is in the semis. We, the United States, need him to win to stay alive. He's going to wrestle the Uzbekistan athlete, he's won by decision, and then a fall in 143, and he upset the #4 guy in the world in the semis, or the quarters, excuse me. On the bottom half of the bracket, the Iranian, who is the 3 seed, made it all the way out, and then the Belarusian athlete got upset in the first round, and then Husainov from, let's see where he's from Azerbaijan is in the semis as well. So that guy's had a good match. He's won 6-0, 7-0, and then won by injury default. So there should be some fireworks there.
It's going to be interesting. Here's a breakdown of the countries that have athletes in the semis. Leading it is, I believe...
Looks like Uzbekistan has 3, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then Azerbaijan has 2, Kazakhstan has 2, Georgia has 2, Japan has 2, Russia has 2, Bulgaria has 1, Hungary has 1, and Iran also has 1. So there's 9 countries right there represented in the semifinals, which is pretty good. That shows you that everybody's so equal country-wise.
I gotta plead ignorance here. Has Japan been a world power in Greco? Do they have 2 of the 4 weights in the semis?
They, it's lightweights.
That's their strength. Yeah,
that's their strength. That's where you're gonna see them performing well. When I was competing, they were always tough. They had guys that could battle and give you great matches. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's interesting, as I think traditionally when we think of Greco, we think of those Eastern European bloc countries. And like you said, you got the Azerbaijans, Kazakhstans, Georgia, Uzbekistan, Russia, Bulgaria, Hungary, Iran, they're all right there. And then Japan's that statistical outlier. But you're going to see some guys really cut it loose. And we've talked about who the Americans are rooting for. These situations make for strange bedfellows. There are going to be some interesting people rooting for people.
Yeah, no, and that's the key. Right now we need a little bit of help to get back into medal contention, so hopefully the guys are able to get some luck going their way to get pulled back in and have another shot to compete.
Right. And some of the wrestling nerds out there, like I do the college rankings for track wrestling, and it's really just a sum of the individual rankings.
Yeah.
Once these guys make the finals, we're immediately going to get a bunch of team scores because the guys that make the finals will be guaranteed second place points. The guys that lose in the semis are at least now going to be guaranteed 5th and 6th place points, and then the other guys are going to obviously be coming through. So just to give you a quick summary, we're going to have these 8 semi matches on 2 mats, so it shouldn't take us very long, maybe 40-45 minutes, and then that'll be it for today. And then there'll be 3.
It's going to be a long day tomorrow.
It'll be a long day tomorrow. We'll have those finals matches, and then we'll also do a preview probably at the end of the 3 weight classes tomorrow and who the Americans are.
Yeah.
So we're going to head to a commercial break here, and when we come back, take a look at the semifinals.
What's the difference between the good and the great? The champion and the runner-up? Both work hard. Both show up for practice. Both work for success. So what makes them different? Others just want success. The champion creates it. We don't beg for it. We don't ask for it. We don't wait for it. We create it. Create your own success.
If our mats could talk, they would speak of hand craftsmanship, innovation, and our tradition of excellence, of our patented zip connection, exclusive Digiprint technology, the reputation our mats are known for. If our mats could talk, they would speak of our history, of champions, and of you. 60 years of tradition, 60 years of success. Resolute, the mat company.
We're back for the evening session, day 1, and one minor correction. Only going to be 1 mat at a time, so for those of you with ADD, not so good, but for the wrestling purists, it's awesome, right? Because we can deep dive.
Focus.
Yep, we can focus. I get a chance to pick your brain a little bit more. You know, for the folks that didn't listen to the morning session, you said a ton of really interesting things, but really tied to the matches, you were talking about getting the feel for some of these guys, writing up scouting reports for every guy. Tell me a little bit about that scouting report stuff that you had done in preparation for your matches.
I'd watch 3 to 4 matches of my opponents, of, you know, probably 15 guys in the world that I knew had a good chance at getting a medal. And I'd watch, I had at least 1 match where they lost and a couple matches where they won. So I knew their strengths right away. I knew what leg they led. I knew their scoring options on their feet, what they were really good at, and then I'd look for their weaknesses and try and exploit their weaknesses with what I was good at.
One of the things you specifically mentioned was like which side they lifted to.
Yeah, I mean, you had to know what side they got it to, because the other side's going to be the fake to get you to go.
Yeah, so like if a guy goes right when he fakes left, you still got to just set heavy there.
So I mean, if a guy steps up and lifts on the left, I know he's going to lift gut me on the right. So I had to know all that stuff.
I think that's interesting because it's one of the things coaches can do. You know, maybe if they don't, you know, have a super high athlete coach or athlete that maybe they're kind of running out of ways to help them. One of the things they can do is scout tendencies of the opponent.
Exactly. It definitely helps out. It was crucial into the medals that I won.
Well, and you said you did this. Did you have a lot of your coaches doing the same thing?
The coaches didn't do what I did it myself. So I needed to see it.
Different level of confidence. I can just see it in their eyes. Like, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I don't need David to tell me what's coming. I know what's coming.
Plus, you see it, then you see it sticks in your mind better. It's like writing something down.
It is. Yeah, it's, it's one of the things they tell you about when you write it down and then redo it and everything. It sticks in your head a lot longer. So we can hear in the background.
Ready to get going.
Yeah.
Soon.
It's kind of cool. We got the best seat in the house, right?
Exactly.